You stand quietly by the window. Outside, cars pass, families plan vacations. The ordinary world moves at full speed, while inside, your reality has shattered. The initial shock of betrayal delivers one kind of pain, but a secondary ache follows when the resolution you expect remains out of reach. The apology is absent, the remorse isn't visible, trust remains broken. Waiting in this space transforms into its own form of grief. After months of establishing boundaries and praying for change, you might look at the silence and wonder if you have been forgotten. You need the person who caused the fracture to emotionally comprehend the exact weight of what their choices built. You want them to feel the magnitude of the pain, not just acknowledge the facts. Loneliness deepens when they cannot bridge that emotional gap. You are left holding the fallout alone, tethered to a timeline dictated by someone else's refusal to see the damage. Your nervous system rejects this uncertainty. Biologically wired to seek safety, your brain demands clear answers to basic survival questions. Are you safe right now? Will this happen again? Can the marriage survive? Without those answers, the mind attempts to manufacture its own certainty. You start gathering data. You analyze texts, monitor locations, and replay old conversations in a loop, trying to predict the next crisis. This survival mechanism can turn you into a fixer. You spot the psychological barriers holding your spouse back and try to explain, convince, or accelerate their emotional growth so you can finally move forward. But a relationship involves more than one person's agency. You might possess the tools and the readiness to heal, while the person across from you is simply not ready to do the work. Attempting to engineer another person's repentance provides only a temporary illusion of control. It often results in extended paralysis, locking you in a cycle of anxiety while you wait for a change that may not come. Recovery eventually leads to a difficult realization. You cannot do another person's emotional work for them. Control asks how you can make a situation become what you need. It's a rigid attempt to force reality to conform. Agency looks at unchangeable facts and asks, given the reality in front of me, what choices are available now? You cannot dictate their honesty or empathy, but you can choose your boundaries. You can decide what behavior you'll participate in, gather information, and regulate your nervous system. If a conversation turns manipulative or verbally destructive, the goal is not to endure the harm. Current behavior provides current data, and that data requires an immediate move towards safety. Stepping away from a harmful interaction is a choice for safety over compliance. It is self-preservation in action, honoring your values when others will not. As you exercise that agency, you will encounter setbacks. The expectation that healing moves in a straight line can make the sudden return of old grief feel like a failure. The swirl model offers a more accurate map. Recovery moves in an upward spiral. You will circle back to familiar grief, but hitting those coordinates again doesn't mean you're at the beginning. You're encountering the same issue from a higher vantage point. Trauma pulls the mind away from the present, dragging you backward to remember the injury or projecting you forward into fear. Interrupt that drift with a weather check. What is actually true today? What does your body notice? What is fact versus assumption? Progress shows up in the timing. You recognize triggers faster, deploy boundaries sooner, and regulate your nervous system in hours instead of days. Betrayal trauma can become a dark organizing principle for your entire life. It consumes your thoughts until every decision revolves around what your spouse is or isn't doing, dimming the parts of you that used to bring joy. Healing involves building a greenhouse. You decide what brings you life, what requires nourishment, and what needs to be pruned in your environment, independent of the person who hurt you. You restore the neglected corners of your life, returning to the music, the friendships, and the interests that existed before the fracture. You may cultivate a fulfilling individual life, while simultaneously holding profound grief over a fractured relationship. Both can be true at once. True resilience is the capacity to hold both grief and gratitude, without abandoning yourself while you wait for a relational resolution. This shift changes your internal dialogue. The prayers that once focused on asking for external circumstances or spouses to change begin to evolve. Instead of demanding a complete map of the future, you ask for personal wisdom. You look for enough light to illuminate the immediate next step. Fragile hope depends entirely on a spouse's transformation. Resilient hope is anchored in unchangeable truths and your own personal worth, allowing you to remain stable regardless of another person's choices. You can rewrite the meaning of your trauma. It is no longer a symbol of your inadequacy, but a testament to your resilience, your discernment, and your capacity for truth. You do not need to know the ending today. While you wait for external closure, you can realize that you already possess the agency to live, choose, and create. The power to define your life remains in your hands.